My lovely hummingbirds, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to a new episode here on Pop Culture in season 6. If you have headphones and you're listening to audio only, I am so sorry. I'm being obnoxious. But that said, welcome back to another episode of Makeup and Motivation here on Pop Culture with your lovely host, Monroe. How's it going, everyone? It's officially season 6 of Pop Culture. I'm so excited. I'm so happy, so ecstatic. I can't believe it. It has been a wild ride these past 5 seasons, which, like, I swear it's a blur. This is why being present in your presence is necessary. That said, for today's episode, my lovely hummingbirds, if you have stuck around for all 5 seasons, you've already seen this makeup look before. It is the Princess Peach inspired makeup look that we did a while ago. It was before the Luigi one. And I do want to say, if you haven't checked it out, definitely follow the link in the description to go and watch that video for the creation of today's makeup look. Because we're not doing it on the English version. We are going to do it for the Spanish version. And as I mentioned, last episode we did a makeup and motivation that, as I guess, kind of, sort of catch up the Spanish series with all the makeup looks, the Spanish version of this series with all the makeup looks, you're going to see a bunch of recreations in the process. But hi, welcome to season 6. I miss y'all. I hope it's been great. I hope you went to see the episode or listen to the episode of What Makes a Great Movie for the last episode of season 5. It was incredible. I was joined by 2 wonderful friends and co-hosts of that episode. It was so much fun. It was so amazing. Thank you both, Nikki and Gabe, for joining me on that episode. And the ones that you joined me after. Also, if you haven't subscribed to all things pop culture, to all of the handles, to all of the socials, what are you doing? You definitely missed the cutesy little video I made for Nikki's birthday, because, like, he's been there since episode 2 of Pop Culture. So, like, give the boy a shout out, give the man some love on that post. And if you haven't tuned in to everywhere, you're missing out, my lovely hummingbirds. Also, not only can you find this gorgeous podcast on YouTube, you can also find it on Spotify, Breaker, anywhere that you listen to your podcast, Apple Podcasts. Shout out to all my Apple Podcast listeners. Thank you so much. I am so appreciative that you are tuning in and listening to me for these past 5 seasons, going on season 6. If you have not subscribed to the Spotify, you definitely should, and you should tune in there as well, because why not? Yo, girl is trying to build pop culture up, so that it is everywhere, more so than it already is. But shout out to you, my lovely hummingbirds. I'm so happy, I'm so grateful. And before we get into today's topic of conversation, which is settling for just barely enough in life, and the whole concept of settling when it comes to journey of life, love, and self-healing. Oh, also, yes, hi, if you're new here. My tangents aside, this is the series on this channel where we cover all things pop culture, news, media, entertainment, celebrity dramas and happenings, as well as giving you a little bit of motivation in the self-healing, self-love journey that is life, and doing some mostly character-inspired makeup looks. That said, before we get on with today's video, we are going to take a brief moment of silence for the lives that we have lost since the last time y'all saw me on this channel, in the world of media, popular culture, news, entertainment, and all that gorgeous stuff we talk about here on Pop Culture. including Jonathan Joss, Renee Victor, Valerie Mahaffey, Michael Sumler, Nico McKnight, Ed Gale, Rick Derringer, Sasha Jenkins, Georgia O'Connor, Daniel Williams, Dave Shapiro, and George Wendt. I appreciate it if you would all join me in this moment of silence. Thank you all for joining me in this moment of silence. I greatly appreciate it. Now, if you have not seen that makeup look yet, you should go watch that episode and watch the makeup look and then come back in the comments and let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe, all of that. And for all my lovely bilingual hummingbirds, if you wish to tune into the Spanish version of this episode and look at the makeup look there, you can also do that too. It's a free world. I'm not stopping you. But that said, let's get into today's episode. Hi, my lovely hummingbirds. What's poppin'? I had to go put my wig on. I had to go fucking put my earrings on. Okay. I was gonna say boom so peep. Like one of my besties says. Dude. I can't. Your girl was sick. I was dying. My God, my lovely hummingbirds. I was so fucking sick. I had an allergic reaction at work because forgot to take her frickin' Zyrtec and goes to work and is like, cool, whatever. Mind you, they've heated up salmon millions of times at this place. Yes, I have a fish allergy. You're not new here. You know this. I have allergies to the world, apparently. And because it is springtime, this is why I could never live in the spring court. But because it is springtime, my ass was already struggling going in, and that happened, and I just, it was bad. Anaphylactic shock moment. It was not fun. I laugh about it now that I'm on the recovering end of it, but y'all, when I tell you I was hurting, I shit you not, I was like, I'm actually, this time, like that, it might happen for real. And I'm like, God, this is not what we agreed upon. But doing better. Went through my phasic anaphylaxis. Why am I telling y'all this? Because I miss y'all, and I hate fucking not being able to record on time for my own fucking schedule that I make for pop culture. My own damn company. It pisses me off. But if you're new here, hi, welcome to Makeup and Motivation, the series on this channel where we talk all things pop culture, everything going on in the world of media, music, movies, entertainment, popular culture, and all the rest. And I do character-inspired makeup looks and give y'all a little bit of motivation in the process. This is not your introduction. We already did the introduction, but I also wanted to say it's been rough. And if you're new here, for all my lovely hummingbirds that aren't new, they're like, yeah, this is like her 15 billionth hiatus. Yeah, no, health issues over here. Chronic illness, baby. So, it's fucking rough. And I always bring up the reasons for it just because, I don't know, give y'all a little glimpse of what it's like to deal with chronic illness and the impromptu hiatuses it causes in life and the disruptions that it can cause. And if you have not done so yet and you're watching Makeup and Motivation after the day I launched, or the night, go tune in to 1 in 10, which is the Cafecito en Conversación, a long fucking overdue episode where we discuss a lot more about chronic health issues, specifically my big old baddie endometriosis. But yeah, that aside, I was dying. And I'm like sitting here. When I initially tried to record, y'all, I was profusely sweating, and I looked at the camera and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just go ahead and take these meds and lay the fuck down. I'll explain to my lovely hummingbirds later, because I am tired. It was a few weeks of just not doing all right. Granted, a week, because like 2 weeks was my little timeline between seasons. I hope everyone went to check out the episode with Nikki and Gabe. Shout out Nikki and Gabe for being on the Rate It, What Makes a Great Movie. It is such a great episode. You guys are gonna see such like a cutesy fucking promo clip that I didn't get to do because life was happening when it first launched. Sorry, I had to cough. But so many exciting things happening this week for pop culture, including the Patreon. Keep an eye out for launch day for when I make that announcement, like official. And I'm upset whenever I wear this wig. Y'all don't understand the void in my spirits for my platinum blonde hair. I miss it so much. But alas, I am box red right now. Like I went, well, technically not box red. I did the first time, so like half of my hair is box red, but then I did like lighter brown, then like honey golden, and then freaking Arctic fox all over it. And it looks gorgeous. It's red and stunning, but also I'm like, every time I go lighter, I already know it's a slippery slope to like fiending for the platinum blonde again. I can't with myself. It's amazing. And we're back. Dying. Anywho, I want my blonde hair back. It's so like, I miss it. And my hair's actually long as fuck again. Not the pixie cut shit I had going on when I first damaged my hair drastically. I miss it so much. It's disgusting how badly I want to be platinum. But I made a promise to myself that I wouldn't be, and oh my god, no. So this is such a random ass tangent. All the little pauses are me doing coughs because I said on the end of it. Not fully recovered. Anywho. Also, asthma. Lord have mercy. But, as I was saying, I made a promise to myself years ago. I was like, okay, if I ever go... Yeah, oh god, it's been so long. Been so like 2019 long. But I was like, if I ever decide to go platinum blonde again, the only way I'm gonna do it is if I get it professionally done by fucking Guy Tang in his studio in California, because I grew up on Guy Tang videos, and I was like, that's the only way I'm gonna do it. And I'm just sitting here like knowing damn well I've dyed it. I did my own dyeing. I box dyed. Now I'm fucking red. And none of that is in any way conducive to a happy go to blonde. Because I've done it myself before. It doesn't go well. Granted, there are other hairstylists I could do, but I told myself that. Because in my brain, in my 10 years ago brain... What? No, it wasn't 10 years ago. Fucking 2019. 6 years ago brain. I was like... Yeah, like that's gonna fucking happen. So that is my little, like... That's where I draw the line of how it would happen. Anywho, I don't know if he's still dyeing hair, unless I saw he was making music. Pretty sure he's still doing hair. I don't know. But the point here is... I miss it so much. And while I love wearing this wig, it takes so much work to even like to be wearing it without anything else. This is because I bullshit braided underneath it, and there's a fucking on the top of my head without the hat. It's honestly so silly, but Good times, my lovely hummingbirds. Good times. I miss y'all. I hope you guys are doing... I hope you're doing great. In spite of what's going on in the country right now. Because we are... You know how everything is like, oh, we're on the brink of World War III, and then, I don't know, I saw this, like, TikTok, and someone was like, you know, the funny thing about that is that no one really labeled World War II as World War II until after World War II was done, and they could pinpoint, there's this random strand, they could pinpoint, cooperate, wig, they could pinpoint, like, the start of it, right, and it was a series of events, not just one event type of thing. And someone was like, you know, historians believe we are already in World War III, which I feel has been a running joke for some time since, like, first term of the Orangino. So, there's that. But, I say in spite of it because this guy, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I'll look for the video after and I'll link it, but he basically spoke up about, like, how we had all lost the rebelliousness in our rebellion. This is not verbatim, but basically stating how when it comes to everything that's going on, the last thing we should essentially lose sight of is our joy. It is our hope. It is the dancing amidst the chaos. It is the smiles in the resistance of it all. Because that's the whole point, right? The point is to get back to a point of joy, to a moment of peace, to a moment of being able to perceive that there is more than just the pain and the hurt and the suffering that exists in present moment. That said, hi my lovely hummingbirds, a lot has happened since the last time you and I sat up here on makeup and motivation specifically. It's been well over a month since the last makeup and motivation episode. Again, life has been happening, work has been happening, me recovering from injuries and friggin' illness has been happening. I've been going through it, and it's actually so twisted, right? Because my Saturn is in Pisces, and that bitch just barely went into Aries again, and I'm just sitting here like, I thought the Saturn return was supposed to be only on year 29. Why am I having this bitch happen twice? Anyways, not the point. Not my astrology girly heart being torn because struggles. I have been chronically online, if you can't tell, for the past week or so, of me being fucking sick. So TikTok brain rot through and through has just been like, boom, into my brain. A lot has happened, including me missing the first month of May, the first Monday in May, which fucking really never happens. Like, I am always locked in when it comes to the Met and bringing you guys coverage of everything that happened at the Met, like, immediately after watching, and it did not happen this year. Just health issues, life, all of that good shit I was dealing with at the time, unfortunately. But this year's Met Gala was all about Black dandyism, and we are gonna do like a special Met coverage, and I'm gonna go more into details about the Met. I know I did one a couple years ago, 2022, 2023, roughly, talking more about like the Met's history and everything, but I do want to get into this year's Met specifically and why so many people missed the mark when it came to the event and their outfits not really hitting to what is considered Black dandyism in fashion and throughout history, and why so many people had issues with this Met Gala this year. Because, y'all, the discourse was crazy. Although, I will say I loved Cardi's outfit. Oh my gosh, she looks so fucking good. And y'all hear her new song. This woman is coming with a fucking vengeance, and I love it. Okay, we love her. Now, y'all know I am a Nicki fan, but I love me some Cardi too. Like, come on now. Queens. Along with that, this has nothing to do with the Met, except for that one time where they did the whole, like, Catholic, whatever the fuck. I can't remember the full name of what they did, but Rihanna was dressed as the Pope. I remember that. And the Pope. We got a Pope from Chicago before we got GTA 6. That is the craziest shit of 2025. Not really. Not the craziest. There's chaos in the world right now, but my heart. Okay, so around Pope discourse, next week we're doing a papacy Vatican episode for a grain of salt, for not Tuesday but for the Saturday episodes, because we got to talk about the Monsignor and the role of the Pope in the Catholic Church, Catholicism. It's gonna go deep. It's gonna be a longer episode for sure. It might not be a full YouTube episode. We shall see. We shall see how much I put in the YouTube one and what's going to go on the Patreon. That said, we got a Pope from Chicago for GTA 6, and the Pope was just here. And in true Chicago fashion, not only is he from the South Side, but being from the South Side, he is a Sox fan. I'm not surprised. I'm really not. Granted, while we do have a good number of people in the city of Chicago, including myself, that are Cubs fans, majority of Cubs fandom lives in the burbs. It's kind of a thing, and it's been like a running joke between Cubs and Sox fans. And that's no shade to my other Cubs fans that are in the city. Not at all, y'all. Like, I see y'all. I'm right there with y'all. But it's just always been very interesting to me, the whole like divisiveness between both. I've been to both fields. I can't say shit. I'm just like, I love the sport. I am here for the woo and the yeah and the boo. I was gonna say fucking oh my god. Oh my god, why can't I think of the name of the movie now? But he's like, Pitcher's got a big butt. Not Angels in the Outfield. That's a different one. Rookie of the Year. Yes. We love a good Chicago-based film. Anyway. Cubs fan. And when they were saying, and like, it's so cutesy, right? Because the Pope didn't want to like immediately divulge which team he rooted for, and I was like, oh, it's cutesy. He doesn't want to let any of the Catholics down, right, in the city. And then I was like, he's a Sox fan in my head. And then they're like, so it turns out he is a Sox fan. There was a video when he was there in 2005 and they won, and I was cackling. I was like, I knew it. Because ain't no way. Anywho, so such a sweet man. Everything that I read about him, everything that I've seen, the work that he did, pre his papacy, you know, during his work as just part of the clergy, as a priest, and then his work as a cardinal. Very, very incredible indeed. We're going to get more into Pope Leo the 14th and all that means, but he was here on the 14th. Iconic. And they did a mass at, I was gonna say Comiskey, but at Guaranteed Rate Field, and they talked about, you know, giving hope and how we need to boost each other up in times like these. And it was very iconic because he did give a nod to the protesters that were protesting for the No Kings March. And if you, my lovely hummingbirds, have no idea what that is, it was a nationwide protest that was held against our commander-in-chief and his desire to be a dictator. Oh no, my other little lightsy just went out. I guess it died. I need to recharge it. But actually, let me plug her in right now. 1 second. My light said our commander-in-chief. I think not, motherfucker. No, like for real though. So Orangino, right? Which I don't know, I think it was fake, but I saw this tweet, right, where he supposedly was pissed off at all the nicknames that everyone's given him. And I saw one that said taco. And I was like, first off, don't insult tacos like that. Secondly, what the fuck? But like all the nicknames were in there. Freaking Tiny Hands, the orange one, like literally everything. It was so funny. And oh my god, my lovely hummingbirds, hi, happy Pride. Before I forget, also I hope everybody had a gorgeous Father's Day weekend. Happy Father's Day to all the dads, to all the stepdads, to all the co-parents, to all the single parents, to everyone that has the role of a father in people's lives. I hope it was wonderful. I hope you were celebrated and shown love and care on your day. That said, so the Pope was here. And he was giving mass and gave a shout out to all the protesters that were protesting during the No Kings March. It was a march done, and it wasn't just done here. Sorry, I had to blow my nose. Just having like health issues. But it was not only done stateside, so even internationally, people were taking part in the No Kings March. And not only, regular citizens were showing up at the protest, but also celebs like Mark Ruffalo, like Anna Kendrick, like Pedro Pascal, if I'm not mistaken, and many, many more were showing up, showing their support. I think Olivia Rodrigo was also there. And then who else? Who am I thinking of? Oh, others that like might not have been in attendance to the protest, but like Subtronics had a show, I believe, in Utah on that day, and they did No Kings Motherfucker as one of their drops, and I was like, yes. Which has brought a lot of discourse, not just a Subtronics set, but of late, I hate allergies. Of late, there has been a lot of discourse around keep politics out of music. My lovely hummingbirds. When it comes to music, when it comes to artistry, when it comes to anything that can be seen as a protest or representation going against the grain or social expected norms of complacency or status quo or whatever the fuck you want to call it, it has always been political or queer driven. Happy Pride, my lovely hummingbirds. Because oh my god, I saw this like, I don't know, I was in bed for like a fucking week and scrolling through the internet, not really doing anything but that and sleeping and listening to audiobooks and podcasts, but anywho, sorry, just a little mental note for me about something. I saw a post, and it was talking about like celebrities that have denied doing gay roles specifically, and it names some people, Salma Hayek being one of them, Kristen Stewart being another, and I looked at it and I was like, but Salma Hayek portrayed Frida Kahlo, who is was, God rest her soul, very not straight. She's not straight. She might have married a man, but they had their flings. And I think they were also like poly at a point. And then, well, Kristen Stewart portrayed Joan Jett. And her and the Runaways were they were trying some things. So I was just like, okay. All right, y'all. This propagation that everything has been separate of everything for so long is just crazy, and it's such bullshit. I mean, politics has been in everything when it comes to art and media and dance forever. It's been very intertwined, and usually it is people speaking against an oppressive establishment. I mean, Les Mis, one of the greatest plays of all time, written by Victor Hugo in like 1800s France. I think it was 1800. I might be very wrong about that date. But it was against the tyranny of the French government at the time. Fucking so many things. Fashion has been very political for a very long time as well. Like, here's the thing. And it just like it pisses me off a little bit, right? The reason that I mention a couple of celebs, right, that have also been very present and have spoken up around what is occurring currently in this country when it comes to immigration and the Trump administration and their handling or lack thereof properly handling the conflicts in this country and igniting even further tensions around racism, around immigration, around deportation, around basic human rights and fucking care, and dismantling government buildings and offices and staff. I mean, they freaking fired the librarian for our Library of Congress, Dr. Carla Hayden, over the reasoning given was because supposedly she was putting too many DEI woke books. The Library of Congress has not a mandate, but essentially it's a thing where they receive 2 copies of every single published book that is published in the US of A. So the fact that they were putting it on her that she's propagating some woke agenda, it's insane to me, right? Besides that, God, the murder of the senator, I believe it was a senator. I was right, it was a senator in Minnesota and lawmaker. They were targeted and gunned down, and reports I had seen was that it was a individual that is supporting the current administration or supportive of the current administration. Besides that, the individual that was an innocent bystander that was gunned down at the protests in Salt Lake City by a peacekeeper, which, like, if there's anyone that tunes into pop culture that is from Salt Lake City or from Utah and y'all have more details on what the peacekeepers are, if you could, like, either drop an email to pop culture or drop it in the comments, whether on the podcast or here on YouTube, like, what the frig is that? Because I was Googling and I kept coming up with blocks and everything was just like a news source that was related to what had happened. And they were like, oh, they're like not part of the police force, but they essentially are armed and they come to the protest to like keep the peace. And I'm just like, what? Point is, unfortunately, there was a person with an assault rifle, and they were pretending to be a protester, and then they ran for it, and one of the peacekeepers shot into the crowd. He unfortunately shot and killed an innocent bystander, and then the person that was going to incite violence at the protest. If you guys have more details of like what that is, what peacekeepers are, and like, because I don't know, I hadn't seen that before. That was kind of weird to me. But my condolences to his family. While majority of the protests did remain, well, pretty much all the protests, they were peaceful. There were incidents, however, of violence after the protests, and majority of which were incited, sadly, by the police forces in the cities and the states that are meant to protect the people. And you can see it on TikTok mainly on TikTok. TikTok, any form of social media online, you can find a video and you can very clearly see that it is not the protesters inciting violence. However, there was a video that I saw of, it was after the protest in Las Vegas, and the police officers are leaving, and they have like the sandbags and stuff that were blocking off the streets, and they're taking them with them, and one of them asks these bystanders, this girl's on live recording everything, and one of them, he's like, oh, did you guys enjoy watching everything? And she's like, yeah, I enjoyed documenting everything. And I guess there was this other guy that was there, whether he was with her or not, I don't know, but he basically said, he's like, yeah, how about you keep your fucking oath? And one of the final policemen that was there, I don't know his name, he was a bald white man, and he's like, he says something to the other officers, and they turn around, and basically they turn around, beat the shit out of them, and arrest them, right? And the girl the whole time, she's like screaming, she's like, hey, I didn't do anything, you're pushing me to the ground, you're gonna cause me to have a heart attack, blah, blah, blah. And, well, he said, why don't you keep your oath, bitch? He called them a bitch, right? My whole thing with that, two things. One, these are already hot times. It is. It's fucking tense. You can feel it in the air. You go to a protest, you can see the tension. You can see the nervousness and anxiety while people are there and protesting and expressing and voicing everything they've been feeling since first term of this man having been in power of the U.S., right? And since he won this election again, you can feel it. You can hear it in the protests, in the way people express themselves, in what they're saying, in their refusal to stay silent. You can feel it. You can feel that tension. And that tension is felt everywhere, especially in major cities. There has been, granted, there's always been a clashing between the police force and its citizens when it comes to protests in major cities. But right now, it feels worse. Since the previous administration, tensions had been slowly rising again, and made more difficult with removal of certain laws, with enhancing other laws, and racial profiling increased to some degree. Everything that ICE is doing is racially linked. It is racially ignited. They are doing it specifically first with individuals that are not white passing. Okay? They're targeting not only the criminal immigrants that they claimed this was all supposedly for, they're getting people that are going to their court dates, that are trying to do shit the right fucking way. I mean, what did he do in his first fucking 2 weeks? They removed the system for people to apply legally for citizenship. So, like, revoking DACA and visas, which, like, AOC and Pritzker stated in one of, like, the fucking hearings that they're having, and she's like, right, that's illegal. Like, you're making it to get people that are doing things the quote-unquote right fucking way to banish them from this country. And then one of the fucking things that he tweeted, I don't know why this man still has Twitter. I don't know why. Just so many fucking things. So many fucking things that Trump and the administration have done since their inception into being the current administration, the current presidential administration. It's been very against the laws and Constitution. They're doing a lot of shit that has left a lot of people fucking wondering, why is he not impeached yet? We have impeached presidents for less in this fucking country. People have been dogged, whether they are a sitting representative as in the Senate, whether they are a congresswoman, whether they are a lawmaker, a judge, whatever the fuck, for less. Who was it? I can't remember if it was a congresswoman or they were something in the fucking government, and they were like twerking on TikTok, and everyone was like, oh my god, they're shaking their ass. How is this a good representation of blah 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 and the values of this country? 34 felonies. And in my head I said, and counting. 34 fucking felonies. How is that a good Anywho, so the No King's March protests, which if we're not careful, my lovely hummingbirds, with how the history books are written moving forward, you know damn well, because history teaches us. Aw, cutesy. Sorry. I got an invitation to something. I'm giddy. Anyway, as I was saying, distracted. Ooh, me saying distracted reminded me of something. We're gonna get into the power of the distraction in a very different, not a different episode, maybe a different episode. We'll see. I got a lot to say, but we're not careful of how these fucking history books are written, right? And like, you bitch, me, Monroe, your lovely fucking host, I'm this close to going back to school to get my fucking history degree so that we can write the fucking history books our damn selves, because I am so sick and tired of shit being written the wrong fucking way or reported the wrong way, because you know damn fucking well, because this is a moment in history, and I need all of you, my lovely hummingbirds that are listening, tuning in, to understand this is a moment in history, and it is a turning point in history. We are living through historical moments, and for all my millennials out there, I know you're tired. I'm so sorry. I know you're fucking tired. I know it's exhausting. Through fucking pandemics and recessions and stock market crashes and all that gorgeous shit we've already lived through. This is a turning point in history, and we have to be careful of how the narrative is being shared and how it is being spoken about, because if we're not, it will be reported back to us in years' time as riots.
They will say the No Kings March, or the No Kings Riots, or the No Kings March that were tainted by the LA riots. When, if you see videos of what was going on, if you see the images of the kettling that was being done to the protesters, it's essentially encircling and entrapping them in a location to induce pressure and incite violence, so that then it can be reacted to with violence, and it is illegal. And it was done not just in LA. There have been rumors floating around that after the protests were done and the organizers left, and when an organizer leaves, that means the permits are up for that amount of time for the marches and protests to happen, that there was kettling being done in multiple cities around the nation, which is an illegal practice. The lovely hummingbirds that are attending the protests, please, please, please protect yourselves and keep yourselves safe. Because we know this massive protest on June 14th is national-wide, international, because it also happened internationally. So many other countries also protested. Is only the beginning. That said, keep yourselves safe. Do your research. Protect yourselves, protect each other. Okay? If this showed us anything, it showed us we're more powerful when we're united than when we're not. Now, that said, during June 14th, the reason why so many people had an issue with the military parade that was held by the Trump administration was not because it was to celebrate the Army's 250th birthday. It is because it is believed that Trompitas was simply doing it because it is the day of his birthday, which everyone, I think, successfully managed in making it about anything but, which, so proud of y'all. Round of applause for lovely hummingbirds worldwide. Proud of y'all. Did that shit, for real. And there's been a discourse online of, I wonder if he's going to uphold this whole military parade energy for the other military sectors that are coming up on their 250th birthdays as well, like the Marines and the Air Force. And when you look at a video of the parade that happened, which cost about $45 million, I've heard everything from $25 million to $90 million. Now it's ranging within the $45 million to the $50 million mark. There was a Craigslist ad that was put up to pay people to show up. 200,000 people were expected, and now the number is estimated at anywhere between 8 to 10,000. Majority of the individuals that were in attendance are believed to have been staff, employees, and family and friends of the service members that were participating in the parade. The other thing is, when you watch the video of the parade, right, the troops are, they are not, if you have ever seen any video of our men and women in camouflage, our men and women in the Army, you know they know how to do their fucking drills. You know they know how to march in order. There is no way they're not gonna fucking march offbeat, that they're gonna misstep, that they're not going to do it right. And if you went to a school that had ROTC, even fucking ROTC, people march better than what they were doing. And it is being said online that our lovely soldiers did it on purpose. That it was their form of malicious compliance that they were misstepping on purpose as their own form of protest for having to be there and do this for the current administration, for the person that wasn't really celebrating them but did this as a pony show. Someone, and I don't know if like, you know, AI, and we're gonna get into AI in a separate episode, which like reminded me of chaotic AI prompt when I did it. I briefly touched upon it and like the fears that were had at the time. We're gonna discuss more at length and cover more about it in a separate episode, because that's a whole other kind of thing. But saw a video where he was caught on mic saying, like, basically comparing, if he was asking, or one of his aides or one of the fucking people at his side, right, in the administration, that if they had seen how people react in North Korea, and he's like, I want my people to react like that, basically like commandeering respect, right, or enough fear to where they will obey. If it was not loud and clear that the US of A does not agree with their administration, not only from its citizens to its branches of government to its military, on June 14th, if that was not made fucking clear to everyone that has voted or supported this administration, I hope it's fucking clear now. I hope that shit wiped and lathered your eyeballs squeaky fucking clean. Now, that said, there were sponsors for the military parade, and it was Promania, that's whose video I saw, that he was like, oh, showing the sponsors, and it was Walmart, and it was Coca-Cola, and it was Jeep and Dodge, and basically when I was like looking at the car sponsors, I was like, so it's the ones that have military contracts, got it. And then Coca-Cola was there, I wasn't surprised. Walmart was there, I'm not surprised. They have been supporters of the Trump administration. It's been known, which is why boycotts. But $45 million went into this. And it's crazy, right? Because, I mean, first off, the world as a whole, Iran and Israel, what is happening over there right now, it's scary. I ain't even gonna lie to y'all. We are the most non-serious generation when it comes to millennials. Crazy as shit. We're the adults now. Insane. But it is scary. And it's more scary to me how there's so much that is not being reported, so much that is not being shown in common media, right? When it comes to news outlets on TV or radio or newspaper or however you consume your news. And really the only way that a lot of individuals are finding out about what's actually going on is through social media, which is not news if you are chronically to some capacity online. You noticed it starting since 2020 when TikTok blew up, right? And this creator, which I fucking love him because he plays these fucking characters in school, and I always like remember him in his black fucking bob wig, and he's like, shut the fuck up, Jessica. I'm like, what the fuck? But he came on and he's like, why is no one talking about the next TikTok ban? And he's like, yeah, they about to take this bitch away again, and everyone doesn't give a fuck. He's like, because we'll probably be here the next day again. They'll ban it for like 5 hours this time or some shit. Ooh, sorry. Basically just joking about the last ban and how essentially it was Meta taking over, because I will die on that hill. I don't care. I mentioned it way earlier in the fucking year. I was like, it's probably Mark Zuckerberg's buying it out. And then all the changes, and now you can connect your TikTok to your Facebook, and now they have a professional profile too. Y'all, when I tell you they're just trying to merge everything to be exactly the same, it's like, why do I have multiple fucking... Anyway. That is going to be for the AI episode, but because I saw some shit that my friend sent me about a man falling in love with the AI. I can't. And who knew her was gonna end up being a fucking documentary? We were warned. We've been warned about the robots, and people aren't fucking listening. Anywho, before I get more tinfoil hat on y'all. So, when it comes to artists and celebrities that have spoken out, like Snow the Product, I love her. I love that woman. I love her music. I love her content. She's incredible. She's always been an advocate for la raza, for la gente latina, right? Like, and speaking up about immigration and the struggles that come with coming to this country with nothing and being a product of that life and a child of that upbringing and what it's like. It's incredible. I love her work. If you have not checked her out, you should. But one of the things that has really been seared is, unless you have experienced what it's like to be someone to immigrate or to be a child of immigrant parents or grandparents, it's like, it's not an experience that you will really ever fully understand, but also it is something that people may to some capacity not be empathizing with, and it is very layered. Now, this is something that we did discuss in the episode when I was up here dressed like fucking Wonder Woman. I'm telling y'all about why Trump won the election and why I was not surprised of the voting style, of how a majority of Latino men voted for this man, of how there were Latina women that voted for this man, of the racism and bigotry and colorism that exists within the Latino community and the caste system, and how that, like, a closeness to whiteness is deemed, and how, like, people are trying to assimilate to whiteness, right? To Eurocentric shit. Which, like, granted, I'm sitting here in a blonde wig telling you about this shit, like, what the fuck? So meta. But it's been a thing. And to my lovely Latinos that voted for this man, that sit there and are like, that's not why I voted for him. Well, whether that was the reason or not, it's not like he wasn't loud and proud about everything else that he thought and felt. And it's not like he hasn't been for a really long time, which is why he holds beef with fucking everybody. I was watching this girl, she made a TikTok about Robin Williams talking shit about Trump like years ago, right? God rest his soul. I miss Robin Williams. I'm gonna go watch What Dreams May Come and cry before bed, but I love that movie. I love that movie so much. How can I not believe in soulmates when Robin Williams and his wife were reborn and met up again? Okay, I'm sorry. I mean, in the movie, obviously, that wasn't his wife in real life, but still. If you have headphones, I'm so sorry for that high-pitched squeal I just did. But obsessed. It's not new. That's why he has beef with Sesame Street and Elmo, because of when they did Ronald Grump. Okay, yes, this man defunded Sesame Street because of that. I'm convinced wholeheartedly that's why. He's against NPR because NPR has not been quiet on their views of the Trump administration, first term nor this term. And they are seen as somewhat liberal because, especially now that they started like their tiny desk music sessions, which, like, if y'all have not seen Doechis or Bad Bunnies, you need to go check those out because they're so fucking fire. Anywho, he's defunded them. He defunded the organization that deals with meteorology. So basically our weather systems and warning systems that warn us about tornadoes and hurricanes, which a weatherman recently went viral for talking about how he's like, I can't tell you because half the staff is gone, right? And recently there was an email begging for, I believe it was educators, like 1,500 or 1,400 that had been dismissed, and basically saying like, come back type of shit. Oh my god, the little kid, I saw TikTok, the little baby, he had a future meteorologist shirt on, and he was chanting at the protest here in Chicago, and it warmed my heart. I've been crying on and off, y'all. I ain't even gonna lie, like, I have been crying on and off. And here's the thing, y'all know where I work at. And I ain't trying to get in trouble, so I'm not gonna say it. If you saw my review video, you know where I work at. If you've gone to my place of employment, you know where I work at. It was not normal Saturday busy, right? It just wasn't. And granted, walking in to work that day, I'm not gonna lie, I was surprised at how many fucking people were at the mall. I was like, I didn't have to be, if I did not have to be here today, I would have been with my cutesy little press jacket on and recording shit for pop culture for the protests, and my ass would have been there. And I saw so many people, like, to me, it was still a lot of fucking people, right? More than I felt should have been there, but whatever. My personal ideals aside. A few times, the question was brought up of why it was so slow, why it was so dead, wonder why it was not a typical Saturday, and I'm just standing there, sick as fuck, mind you. I'm still sick as fuck. I don't know how my voice is gonna be by the end of this week recording all these episodes, but I don't give a fuck. I'm bringing you all the content, my lovely hummingbirds, that I haven't brought in so long. And in my head, I'm just like, do we not know what's going on outside of this, like, immediate space? And it brought so many more questions to me just personally about, like, capitalism and the way that business works in this country, etc., etc., etc. Like, I get it, business is business and business will keep running, right? But to some capacity in my head, right, I was like, wouldn't it be cutesy? Wouldn't it be very mindful, very demure, if businesses really wanted to make a fucking statement that they are for the people that they sell their products to? If they were to say, you know what, in honor of the No Kings protests, right, or whatever marches happen in the future, and it's something this massive and nationwide and global, if they were to stand on the right side of history and close down for those few hours of the protest, because the protest didn't last all day, it didn't go from sunrise to sunset. Granted, I know that might be asking a whole lot. But a thought that crossed my mind. And we're going to get more into businesses and consumerism and capitalism in a separate episode, because I do want to cover more of how people are shopping nowadays, which is very, very different to how it was done even a year ago. And we're going to get more into that there. But at a point after, towards middle to the end of my day, that day, I was like, well, Father's Day weekend, it's nice outside. The protests, I don't know, Puerto Rican Day Parade, or friggin' Taste of Randolph, you name it. There's a whole lot of other things going on in the city. I'm not surprised. Honestly, not surprised it's this dead. And I sat there, and no shade to the people at all. Love everybody there, I really do. My heart, love my team. But there's been a disconnect for a while when it comes to society as a whole and the world, which is why last Met Gala, everyone was up in arms over it. They were just like, do we see what's going on outside of this? To show this level of opulence and extravagance seems crazy right now, right? Which was held a little bit differently this year because of, I believe, not only the theme, but just the overall, what the theme itself represented this year. And we're going to get more into it in that episode. But there's been a disconnect where it feels very dystopian. And not to be a classic millennial and pull out, oh my god, wait, PETA was at a protest. Hunger Games. Yes, I called him PETA and I don't care. But he was at a protest. Love him. Anywho, distracted for a second. Almost dystopian, where it feels like when it comes to day-to-day life, we are Sector 12, and then everything else is Sector 1. And I know I spoke about, still having your enjoyments, and that's the point, and having moments of celebration, and laughing, and enjoying it, and having that fucking hope anyways, my lovely hummingbirds, which absolutely you need to do, right? It's important. It is important to keep going forward and to keep speaking up and voicing and resisting and doing what is needed to get this country in a state of progress once again, instead of regression that it's going into. Very Handmaid's Tale, very no protections and rights. It's not good, no bueno. But to me, it brought to mind that the disconnect of how enveloped we can become in our day-to-day, that we wholly detach from society to some capacity. Now, don't get me wrong, my lovely hummingbirds, and I mentioned it on here before, I believe not first, but I definitely mentioned it on here around the time that everything started in Gaza, right? And all of the bombing and deaths of the women and children and vulnerable in Palestine. My issue is I have a spinny chair. And my anxiety starts and I start spinning. Sorry, y'all. But I mentioned on there, I was like, pop culture. I wasn't really always that political on here. I would kind of avoid it. Granted, I went more full force into it during 2020, during the George Floyd protests and coverage of it and all that. And even in my day-to-day in my life, I was like, I'm not really that political. And then I pulled back and I looked at myself and I was like, if that ain't the biggest load of bullshit I ever did say. If that ain't the biggest load of bullshit I ever did say. Because I've always been political. I've always been very aware of the goings-ons when it comes to laws and immigration and knowing what's going on in the city and in the world as a whole, right? And I'm just like, why did I say that? And then I looked within myself and I was like, oh, because I was fucking scared. Because I was terrified. I was scared of what I would say. I was scared of it being viewed incorrectly. I was scared of losing my lovely hummingbirds. Any of y'all that might think differently. And then I was like, damn. But would I really want that to be the basis of my following? But would I really want that to be the environment and energies that I surround myself with? And then this administration came forward and I was like, holy shit, there's a lot of racist motherfuckers. There's a lot of ignorant motherfuckers. And I don't mean ignorant as an insult. I just mean lack of really educating oneself, really knowing the issues, really being able to empathize, right? And see the situations for what they are and realize the racism that is attached to this administration and how that is weaponized and used against the rest of the population, especially the population that does not have blonde hair and pale skin, right? And well, I can't even say that. The rest of the population that is not white or passing enough to the point where people will look at you and not know what you are, right? So I was like, damn, ain't no way. Ain't no way people are this oblivious to what's going on around them. And then, I kept growing up and kept healing and going to therapy and looking around me and realizing, holy shit, people truly aren't. People don't realize it. Whether it is from fear and wanting to keep themselves and their loved ones protected, which is completely understandable. I get that to some capacity. But then all I think about is fucking Vic Mensa the other day in one of his videos where he was like, what they do with you in the night, they'll do with me in the morning. That's not verbatim, but came to mind like right now when I said that. But it's that mindset, especially for individuals that grow in vulnerable or ostracized communities. There's this thing in the Latino community where the look away is very quick because if you pay attention, you're the one that gets got. And that is a mindset that is very ingrained in the community, which is why a lot of times my fellow Latinos will not speak up for others, especially the older generations. They won't, from fear or from having experienced situations where they did and they were the ones that suffered from vocalizing. But when it comes to society as a whole, right, people in their day-to-day very much live that way, not outside of their immediate bubbles, not outside of their immediate algorithms, not outside of their immediate spheres of awareness or lack thereof. And it's crazy to me. And then I, pulled back and I was like, damn, am I just like so fucking nosy all the time? I'm like in the world's business. That it's crazy to me that people aren't aware of these things. And, kept growing up and kept seeing it and kept realizing, wow, people really don't know. And in situations such as this where it is confused as to why people are not out and about shopping as what would be a normal weekend due to the circumstances of what is going on in the world, I realized and this is not about anyone that I had that conversation with that day, but more discourse that I noticed online, right? Even as I mentioned Snow the product, she was like, I cannot believe that people that support this man, right, that voted for him, she's like, I genuinely wonder, like, is it like us? She's like, you know, we as Democrats, right, or left-leaning or whatever the fuck, when we vote for someone, and she's like, and I'm just speaking generally, like, we didn't agree with every single policy. We didn't agree with every single law. Like, that is why we would protest or say something against the things that we did not agree with, but we were able to. She's like, so, and none of this is verbatim, but, and if you haven't followed her or gone on Instagram, you should. I saw her on Instagram. You should go check out her video and, like, see what she said. But she mentioned, and Snow, if by any chance you ever see this, I love you. Bitch, you are so cool. Let me interview you for pop culture. That would be, oh my god, my life complete. So sick. Anyways, she was a fairy. Yeah. Anyways, brain rot. So, back to center. No, so she was basically saying, you know, she's like, she has empathy. She cannot understand how they see all of this happening, and they're just like full on board, trusting, and like at some point there has to be some level of questioning, right? And she's not the only person that said it. There's been so much discourse online of other creators that have spoken up. I can't remember his name for the life of me, but he has curly hair, and he's like, welcome to the Daily Scream. You know, he's also said it. He's like, I hope you can fucking see it now, or that, like, you realize it now. And I've just been thinking, right, of everything I've heard, everything I've seen, experienced over the course of the past 6 months, past years. And I'm like, sadly, a grand majority won't. Sadly, a lot of us are talking into the void. Sadly, a lot of these people will choose to never understand, to never see, to never get it, or to empathize. Sadly, there are those that are seriously just so blinded that you can run yourself fucking ragged, screaming and explaining and constantly saying over and over and over again, and they simply do not care. They simply don't give a fuck what is being done to other people at the expense of other people, because it is not affecting them, because it's not hurting them. The best way I can explain it, my lovely hummingbirds, okay, and if you're seeing this from the future, and I already made that TikTok, you already heard some rendition of this, but it's like if you ever were, not me about to assume every single person's been in a toxic relationship before, sheesh, but if you've ever been in a toxic relationship, and you're standing there, tears streaming down your fucking face, for my girly pops or all those that wear makeup, your mascara fucking running down, streaks and shit, ugly snot and boogers, you dying while breathing and living to get yourself understood by the person that claims to love you, or the person that once claimed to care, right? Stare at you, dumbfounded with a blank face, looking at you be absolutely in hysterics, and calling you hysterical or dramatic, or that you're doing too fucking much, and saying, you know what, you're being dramatic right now, You're being crazy right now. Do you see yourself? Do you hear yourself? When they're not seeing that their actions are causing the reaction that you are currently feeling. I'll say that again. That their actions are causing the reaction that you are currently feeling. Because you were not weak, but you were vulnerable with them. Because you let your walls down. Because you let them in. Because you shared your experiences. And all they said to you in that moment was them seeking to respond, not seeking to understand. And that is a barrier in inability of proper communication. On one or both ends. And you stand there and you run yourself ragged to the point where you pause and you realize this person will never understand. This person doesn't give a fuck about you. Hell, they maybe never did. It is not until the moments that begin to celebrate you have nothing to do with them. It is not until the moments that their actions that impacted you bounce right the fuck off and smack them. And then they realize, oh, holy shit, I'm losing them. Oh, holy shit, I fucked up. Oh my god, and they're tearing at ends to try and win you back when you've been long gone. And then it hits them. Because unfortunately, when it comes to life, love, and the journey of self-healing and all these gorgeous, gorgeous stuff that we talk about here on pop culture, a lot of people really don't understand things until it directly impacts them. And that's the sad matter of it. And that's the sad truth when it comes to everything going on with this administration and the people that voted for him. Yes. People voted greedily. People voted because they thought it wouldn't impact them. And that fucking sucks. But it also gives me a little bit of hope. And I know you're probably sitting there like, Monroe, what the fuck are you talking about? Remember I said we were at a pinnacle, at a turning point in society? We're going to cover more of the birth chart of this year in an AGOS episode, a grain of salt episode. But that's a turning point. Maybe part of the reason for this bullshit is so that people think the next time around. Because even though it fucking feels like there won't be one and we're on the brink of World War III, Baba Vanga did not say the world would end just yet. So, God rest that blind seer. But, God rest her soul. But, maybe this is what's needed for people to understand that our actions, that what we do, what we don't do, what we say, what we don't say, has a bigger impact than just ourselves. To some capacity. That when it comes to bigger things in the world, right? It is bigger than just us. And part of the whole dystopic thing that's been going on, as I mentioned, when it comes to events and bigger things, is like there seems to be a detachment, right? Where the rich and wealthy live very different lives than the rest of us, and how all that's been shifting and changing for a while since COVID, right? One of the things was in the BET Awards. I thought it was fucking iconic what she did. So Doechii got up there and she spoke about what was happening just outside. And one, not only did it feel like a breath of fucking fresh air, right? Because How many award shows have we not seen of, you know, celebs and artists and everything receiving their awards and not really anyone saying much of anything, or only a couple people saying things, but it being so not pushed to the side, but still kind of like a little bit off to the left there, but not really, kind of adjacent to the whole what was being said. The way that she spoke about it felt very present. It felt very, she was bringing it into the now of the whole situation. And if you guys haven't seen her acceptance, she won Best Female Hip Hop Artist was the award that she won, and she said, "I do want to address what's happening right now outside the building." She's like, "I want y'all to consider what kind of government it appears to be when every time we exercise our democratic right to protest, the military is deployed against us." And she continued to speak on and voice how, like, she should be using her platform to fight for the rights of Black and Latino and trans and the people in Gaza, and to protest against hate. And she's not the only artist. As I mentioned, Snow the Product has spoken out. Kehlani, Los Tigres del Norte, they were in New York. Pedro Pascal, as I mentioned. Yuri La Más Bella, who is a TikTok creator, who she's the one that does all, like, the Kardashian ones, where she's like, yeah, and she has Chloe has, like, the Post-it note nails. I fucking love her content. But she spoke up about it, and she spoke about this little girl that passed away. I'm gonna start crying if I think about that video. And individuals like Aaron Parnas and Mr. Williams, also creators, and Renee Rapp, Jamie Lee Curtis, Eva Longoria, SZA, Kendrick, Tyler the Creator, like, all these individuals have spoken up. And again, the tide is turning. And I want you, my lovely hummingbirds, to not lose hope. I know it's fucking scary out there right now. It really fucking is. But things will get better. The reason why speaking of the Kardashians, almost forgot. So Kim made a story, and people did not take to it well, because they were like, it feels very virtue signaling because she's friends with Ivanka, so maybe text your bestie that your dad should stop doing this. But anywho, the reason I alluded what's going on to why people are not comprehending things, and imagine it like you talking to your toxic ex and running yourself ragged with words, realizing in that moment that this person does not give a fuck about you, right? They give a fuck about the idea of you or what it could have been type of shit, but not you. Today's topic of conversation in our gorgeous, gorgeous episode, horrible segue, worst one yet, the art of settling for just barely good enough. What does that mean, my lovely hummingbirds? Well, this is probably going to be a little bit of a brief motivation moment. So the reason that we're dressed as suburban Princess Peach, yes, this is my type of suburban Princess Peach. She got the hoops on. She's soccer mom Peach, okay? She's out here. She got her carpooling full of kids. She just dropped off at the game. She's there. I don't have my shades on right now, but chewing her gum, looking at little Bowser. Bowser Jr. Being like, yes, that's right, score that fucking goal. Anyways, coach is looking at her like, why are you yelling during Little League? Like, what's going on? That's who I'm embodying right now. That, and I couldn't find my fucking crown, so we got the cap on. We got the baseball hat. But my nonsense aside, I wanted to, I don't know, create a look that 1, was comfy. 2, still in line with my cosplay. 3, brought out various sides of me. 1, me missing my platinum blonde hair, my standard classic fucking over the topness with my accessories and jewelry and my baseball cap. I have a lot of hats. If you guys know me in real life and you have ever seen my collection of hats, you know I have a lot of fucking hats. Just like all the hats that I wear to run this gorgeous podcast and company. But when it comes to the art of settling for barely just good enough, when I originally did the episode for Princess Peach, for this makeup look that I told you to go and watch, which you probably haven't, but I'm like already sweating through this makeup look. Like, I did not put the primer on this time around from when I originally did it for the Spanish version of the makeup look. I'm sweating through this one. Like I said, I'm still fucking sick, so like, I'm going through heat flashes over here, like I'm going through menopause. But when I originally did this makeup look, and you should go watch that episode, I talked about treating yourself like royalty and why that's so fucking hard. Why it's so hard to treat yourself like you deserve the whole fucking world, like you deserve better than what you've been given. And the more that I've grown up since that episode, and the more that I've learned and seen and experienced and lived and heard other stories in and outside of the internet, I realize, well, besides the fact that all of us millennials, for the most part, have our Chiron and Virgo, and we are wounded healers, and that's a whole other fucking episode that we're gonna get into. I'm gonna get into all of, like, the generations and their Chirons and where they land and why that matters to society in a grain of salt episode. But pause real quick. I'm back. Hello. I was like, ooh, wait. I had to go pee, y'all. I'm sorry. I have tiny bladder problems. Again. Prolapse, stage 2. Not fun. But anyway, where does it stem from? Again. Last time I did this makeup look, it was about that. It was about treating yourself like royalty. And really finding ways on how to do that, how to allow yourself to get princess treatment, to get prince treatment, to allow yourself to have good. And I sat around and I realized, this is a conversation I've had with a couple of my besties already, a lot of us settle in life. For my lovely hummingbirds that are the children of immigrant parents, right, and are now parents of the next generations yourselves, you probably dealt with it to some capacity with your loved ones. You know, you were torn in this whole, and like I mentioned, we're going to get more into the different woundings of Chiron and how we deal with that in a grain of salt, but stick around for that episode. Just barely good enough. When you are born and bred in chaos, right? Whether you are the child or grandchild of immigrants or not, when you are bred and born in chaos, you take every little win you can get and you make it something big and something incredible and something to be grateful for, which is not a bad thing, right? Not to dissuade my lovely hummingbirds of like, oh, something has to be big and grand for you to be appreciative of it. Not by any fucking means. But from individuals that come here seeking a better life for themselves, for their families, for it being a really big dream, and for those that cannot get anything more than working 2 to 3 jobs that involve serving others to some capacity, whether it is being a farmer or a maid or a construction worker or a laborer or a factory worker or whatever have you, or growing up in impoverished or difficult situations. There comes this sense of being grateful for everything that comes your way. And if you live in survival mode long enough, you start to believe that you cannot reject anything that comes your way. You start to believe that you cannot want for more, or desire for more, or you can only dream so far within the parameters of the expectations of those that sacrificed everything for you. So you settle. And you start to do things because you believe that it is just simply what you are supposed to do. And you stop pursuing the things that bring you joy and make you happy, and you start complying and being complacent with what you receive. And I mean this in a dramatic scale, right? In a dramatic sense. And in a, I can't say dramatic, but in a very inflated sense of like, you become to be comfortable in the space of everything you do is too much and you want too much, but what you're doing is not enough because it is not in line with what they would have done. And granted, I know this is not everyone's experience, and there are a lot of my lovely hummingbirds that are kids of Latino parents or immigrant parents, and they were very supported and loved in their homes, and I love you so much, and I'm so happy that that was your experience. For many others, it was not like that. And it was survival and carrying the wounds of those that were supposed to care for us. What is settling, right, in the journey of life, love, and self-healing and all that gorgeous, gorgeous stuff we talk about in pop culture? Well, to settle, say, back to, I guess, the relationship thing, or, not even that, say, say, like, in, I don't know, in your career, right, you want to be a CEO, and you can't immediately apply to be CEO for whatever reason. You don't have the qualifications for it, or you don't have the full experience that is required for it, or whatever have you. And you look a couple echelons under that role, and you're like, you know what? That's a good starting point. And say you are qualified for it, and you know you have the experience for it and all this stuff, and someone else looks at it and is like, no, you know what, we're actually going to start you 8 rungs below that, 8 positions below that, and you're like, all right, and you settle in that position because it's your foot in the door. And sure enough, you work up your way up the ladder, and cool, you make it. But not to CEO, not yet. You're just VP, right? And then life happens, and you kind of just stay there. And you voice your aspirations, and at this point, say it's been a few years, 5-6 years. And the people around you start to say, well, you have it so good already. Well, you're doing great at what you do. And they put this notion in your head that, you know what, wherever you're at is good enough. Why don't you just settle for that? Why do you need more? I mean, yes, that was a dream, but like, let's be realistic. So you no longer go after your dream. No longer chase it. And I know I up here sounding like a fucking straw hat right now, sounding like Luffy. Like, always chase your dreams. And then time rolls on and you're in the same position and you stagnate. And you look around and you realize you're pissed. And you're resentful. At yourself, at your friends, at your family, at every single fucking person that told you that it was just good enough. But for you, it was just barely good enough. It wasn't everything you aspired it to be. And you sit there and you sit at a crossroads with yourself. Do I move forward and follow what I need to and shake the status quo of those around me, or do I settle for something else? Maybe switch roles, switch careers, do something different. And if you choose to remain and stagnate and you retire from that role, you look back, and you always look back and think, fuck, what if? And then say you don't, and you go after your dream and you're like, holy shit, I did it. And then not only are you CEO, you end up going to a bigger company, a bigger firm, or opening your own business, or succeeding in other ways, right? And it's like, oh my god. Or then you're there and you're like, holy shit, this is not what I expected. Because that can also happen. And you're like, fuck, gotta hunker down and like get to pushing because there's so much more to do. There's also instances, right, where settling can be a good thing, right? Where it is beneficial to you because whatever circumstances may be happening in life, and this is going to give you sufficient wiggle room to do what you need to build yourself up, or keep moving forward, or heal in some way, or whatever the situation may be. There are moments where settling comes from feelings of hopelessness, like it'll never happen for you, right? I mean, we see people settle in relationships all the time. We see it online. We see husbands that don't like their wives, a la Justin Bieber saying, I was sadly mistaken on her Vogue cover. Like, we're going to cover that separate episode, maybe next week. We shall see. But there are moments in turmoil where the settling is a point of survival. It's what drives you through. It's what has you grit your teeth and grin and bear it till you can move on, till you can move forward in difficult times and situations. In those moments, settling is beneficial. It is when we reach a state of perpetually doing that, where we take the most minuteness of offerings or opportunities or rewards or gifts and making it the biggest fucking deal, like it is the greatest thing ever, because we believe that we will never get there, or that we will never be good enough to receive everything that we truly desire and want, or that some reason the universe is punishing you, right? The reason I'm calling it the art of settling for barely just good enough is because when we fall into patterns in the journey of life, love, and self-healing, patterns of using our tools of survival as weapons in our life, as shields in our life, we end up stagnating ourselves. When you end up perpetually settling for everything, every single thing, accepting every offer, every opportunity as the end all be all, and not using your discernment, the fact that it was 4444 on my timer, as I said, the not accepting your discernment is crazy. It's because you have to be discerning in the journey of life, love, and self-healing, my lovely hummingbirds, to get to that point of like treating yourself like royalty, to allowing yourself to have more. You have to allow yourself to not be afraid to receive it. I'm gonna say that shit again for y'all. In order to allow yourself to have more in life, you have to allow yourself to receive it. You have to allow yourself to remove the fear of succeeding, of receiving it, of allowing yourself to believe, holy shit, what if it's better than I imagine? And not being scared of that. Granted, fear is very normal, and doing things while still being afraid is courage. But what is something that you look around in life and you're like, fuck, I just gave up on that? And what did you do to replace it? I used to give y'all homework on here when it came to makeup and motivation. And that's your homework for this week, my lovely hummingbirds. Take a good hard look at your lives, considering the state of the world and who knows what will happen tomorrow type of shit. A la, oh my god, what's his name? Can't remember, but yo no sé mañana. Right? What's gonna happen? What's something you gave up on in life? And what did you settle for in its place? Why? What prompted your fear to be so strong to no longer pursue it? And I'm not talking about like shit that's viable, shit that like there was really no choice in that moment, right? Type of thing. But where did you settle? What in your life in these moments is making you yearn for more? And how are you going to allow yourself to break free of the barely just good enough moments in order to start living for the extraordinary ones? Don't allow your life to settle and sink to the bottom of the point of no return. The point where you will look back and think, fuck, I could have done it all differently. Granted, that does come with introspection and healing. But you deserve to have an incredible life. You deserve to live a life where you do not settle for migajas, for crumbs. You deserve a life where you speak loudly and you stand up for yourself. A life where you scream to the powers that be, if that is so what it is. That you deserve good things, and you deserve to live, and you deserve life, liberty, and the pursuit of fucking happiness. It is time to stop surviving, to only be surviving. It's time to live, my lovely hummingbirds. Speak up for you. Speak up for others if you fucking can. and move forward in the knowing you're not alone in this shit. I love you so much, my lovely hummingbirds. It's gonna be okay. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope you liked the topic of conversation of not settling and what that looks like and all that gorgeous shit. I'm excited to be back. Happy season 6 of pop culture. What the friggum fray? How did we get here? Insanity. But I hope this week is beautiful for you. I hope it's incredible. I hope it's everything you desire and so much more, and that it paints an incredible vision for your future. I love you. That's it for me for you for today, my lovely hummingbirds. As always, les mando muchos besos y les recuerdo que miren, it's cut off. Hacia la luna. Sending you much peace, many kisses, and reminding you to always look up the moon. I love you all so much. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for 6 incredible seasons so far, because we're just starting out season 6, but 5 incredible seasons so far. And I can't wait for so much more to come. I hope you keep tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next one. I love you. Stay safe. And yeah, no fucking kings. No kings in the US of A. Alright, that's it. I love y'all. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.